Mark, you ready to go?
I am super excited about this. Absolutely. We've got
Me
some good
too.
stuff to share.
Yeah, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Workflow Secrets Demo Day 2025. My name's Cody. I am one of the co-founders over here at Workflow Secrets. And I have spent my entire career working with real estate agents. By far not as long as you have, Mark, but It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. For those that don't know me, my name is Mark Stepp. I have really enjoyed getting into this project and making sure that I use Cody's mandate well. He basically said to, build my dream CRM app, and that's what we're doing. So we're going to show you a lot of that here pretty soon, but we'll get into that.
That's right. So today, the ultimate goal is for you guys to walk away with some understanding. First, how can you automate your daily routines? And realistically, how can you use AI to make those routines more powerful? How can you start automations effortlessly with precision, with focus, and at the right time? And then how can we develop what Mark and I like to call a world-class client experience for every single person that comes to your business? And my personal goal at the end of the day is for you to walk away with an, oh, that's how I'll use it moment. And if we can accomplish that, I'll be pretty happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Mark, you kind of alluded to this, but I want to give just a little bit of background. Who are we? Why are we? How did we get here? And ultimately, Workflow Secrets is building what I would like to call the future of real estate technology. Now, the thing about it is real estate tech, for the most part, your CRM tools, they are kind of getting old and outdated. A lot of these systems were built 20, maybe even 30 years ago with the idea that they're just going to keep building the same thing over and over again. Well, back in November of 2022, a company named OpenAI released a product called ChatGPT. We're all pretty familiar with ChatGPT at this point, I'm sure. But this gave public access to AI tools. Now, from this public launch, I know myself, but definitely Mark, we kind of entered into the space. We got into these platforms and started just playing around. And we're technologists. We enjoy learning and playing inside of technology. But what we realized is, oh my gosh, there is something really cool that real estate agents could absolutely use inside of their business. So Mark and I kind of teamed up, and this is kind of where Workflow Secrets began. We were teaching and training real estate agents on how to build and grow better businesses, right? But we started teaching how agents could use AI. But at the end of these events, we would have lots of fun at the events, and all of the agents who attended would come out of the event super excited, and then they would hit what I like to call the glazed eye moment. It's this moment after the event, the pomp and circumstance wears off, and you don't know what you need to be doing. You watched Mark or you watched me teach you how to write all of these different things, or how to get the ChatGPT to produce really cool things for you, but how do you do it? And so I found myself observing this, and I thought to myself, man, there are two paths that I can take at this moment. I can either I can start writing prompts, is what they're called, these commands, basically like Google search questions that you would enter into these AI. And I could write lots and lots of them, and I could give them out to real estate agents. I could sell them. A lot of people do that. And, the old verbiage is you teach a man to fish and you don't throw rocks at their glass house, right? So I thought to myself, I could do that, but I think that there was a better way. And this is kind of where the birth of Sam began, the Systems Accelerator Manager. And we're going to refer to it as Sam affectionately for pretty well most of today. But initially, this started off as a piece of software that allowed you as a real estate agent to use AI inside your business to create content that you can use to bring in new business, to share with clients or past clients, and just be able to drive value inside your business using AI. Now, the really cool thing about how it was built is it could use a writing sample of yours and it could adapt anything that it created specifically to you, but you didn't have to learn how to go about the process of writing these prompts, as they're called. Again, kind of like Google search questions that you would put into the AI. So I'm going along and I'm building this, and I start getting a lot of people coming in, and I realized that I was about to have a really big problem. And
Really?
it is the best problem that you could ever have. So you're going to think, Cody, that's not a problem at all. But I woke up one night in a sweat, and I realized if I had 1,000 people come in and raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in this, there would be absolutely no way that I could handle that. And you're thinking to yourself, 1,000 leads? I would love 1,000 leads. But the thing about it was I was manually starting 14 emails for each person who would come in to try my software. So now imagine the headache of operations that would occur if I had had to start 14 emails for 1,000 people. Well, I probably could have called up Mark, and I could have called up all my siblings and all my friends, and we maybe could have gotten through it. But I guarantee I would not have gotten a single person to stick around in that software afterwards, because what a terrible experience they would have received. So I realized
It's all about that world-class experience.
it's all about that world-class experience. So I realized, oh my gosh, Cody, we've got to do something different. Well, lucky for me, I have been in the real estate technology space for many years. I got to work with Mark for a while. And so I pulled that experience out of my back pocket. And I said, you know what? I think that Sam needs to have the ability to manage contacts. It needed a CRM. And so I started off on this journey of using my experience working inside a real estate CRM company and started to build my own. Well, I'm going to personally confess that I am not a computer engineer. I only barely know how to code, and I know how to code websites. So that's not going to work for us. So progress was slow, but the really cool thing is I was able to use AI to help me get along. And I was able to get, for the most part, a lot of things.
You did really good.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
thank
look
you.
back, you did really good.
Well, all of this changed in this end of the summer of 2024, when Mark actually became available to rejoin the team over here at Workflow Secrets. And I jumped at the chance. I snapped him up. I would say that I probably had an insider's advantage, being that Mark is my father. And I said, hey, Mark, I would love for you to come rejoin the Workflow Secrets team. We had a lot of fun coaching real estate agents how to use technology. How about we actually build some technology for them? Here's what I started with. What can we do with this? And at the end of it, I gave him the mandate. And I know there's a lot of mandates going out into the world right now. It's kind of a fun word, really. But Mark, you've been in real estate technology for 35 years. You've helped now thousands of real estate agents build successful businesses using technology and well-timed automations in their technology. Well, that technology has changed a lot in the last couple of years. And I knew that you had been keeping a pulse on what agents need and what the technology can do. And so I said, Mark, build your dream system. Go out there and just create the best thing that you could ever possibly create. And that is where we got to today. We have built SAM, the first AI real estate CRM, the Systems Accelerator Manager.
Absolutely. And the mandate itself really opened up some possibilities for me. Like Cody said, I mean, I've spent 35 years now creating CRMs. This is actually the third company that I've either started or helped start. And being able to start from the ground up, knowing what new technology has available, not being loaded or weighed down by the old technology, was a real advantage, because what you had started, Cody, was great. There was a lot that needed to be changed, but what it did is it gave us a base to be able to build on. So knowing what things we did right, what we did wrong in the past, what would it look like if we had a new CRM for the real estate agents that gave them what they needed. Now, I'm going to confess something. Personally, I feel like CRMs are going to die, at least in their current format. The way that you use CRMs today will be going away. And so what we've been building with that in mind is not the CRM itself, but the underlying structure of what's needed for you to organize data in a way that is usable in lots of different ways. And so whenever you start looking at how technology is being done right now with AI, you can say, hey, Alexa, or hey, Google, or, whatever, do this for me. Well, why not have your CRM do that as well? Well, it can. The thing is you've got to have a base. So what we did first off was build the base, build the content, the structure of how do you store the data, what data's in there, not only the contacts, but the properties, the listings, the transactions, all that kind of stuff. And we'll show that to you here in a second. But what comes down to is what we're going to show you today is the base, the foundation of what it is that you need as a entrepreneur. Even though real estate agents are entrepreneurs, whether they know it or not, they have to go out there and do the business for themselves. So what we've got is a way to take that data and really build a base for what you need in the future.
That's right. And, Mark, I think that at the end of the day, there's some really cool things that we're going to show you guys. And I want you to just dream a little bit. And maybe we can set a little bit of a vision for you to imagine what is possible when you can actually use your CRM to take everything that you've worked hard over probably lots of years putting into the CRM, all of the details, all of the data, all of those different nuanced understandings that you have of every single client that you've worked with. Well, now your CRM can not only just store it, it's not just going to hold it for you. It's going to go, oh, that's really interesting. Hey, did you know that when you wanted this was possible? And so your CRM can start to do very much more. Now, here's the thing about it. You don't need to be super tech savvy to be successful in SAM. I know that, Mark, you have a bachelor's in computer engineering and are a very, very established, accredited computer developer. You don't need that. We've actually worked very hard to make sure that SAM at every single step in the process is super easy. I like to think that there's about maybe 30% of the US is tech savvy, whatever that means. And so if you are not in the 30%, if you struggle to copy paste on your iPhone like I do, you are in good company. You're going to be successful in SAM. So don't worry about that. Now, the other thing that you don't have to be successful is a big technology budget. I know that a lot of companies out there are going to nickel and dime you for a system that you thought was a really great deal, but all of a sudden you needed like 10 different subscriptions just to have the tool you needed. Well, we're not going to do that to you. We're going to show to you how you are going to have access to everything you need inside of SAM. And so I really like to just set that groundwork before we get started. But we've kind of hemmed and hawed long enough, Mark. So I would love for you to take the reins and let's go ahead and dive into SAM and show you guys what we've got.
Absolutely. So let me minimize this, get it out of the way. And we'll bring over Sam. Now I'm logged in as Cody. Just he's got some data and stuff in there that's usable for
And
demos and
this isn't a
stuff.
trial account. It's just
Yeah.
fictitious data,
Mhm.
just so that you guys can have some examples. You're going to see some names in there. You know Jimmy Buffett? I do not. That's just fake information.
Yeah. So one of the things, like I said earlier, is that we needed to build a foundation of data that can be used in other ways. So what I want to do is kind of show you the app itself initially, and then we'll kind of share the vision, where we're headed with it. What are the things that we currently have working? What are the things that we still have yet to do? So there's a lot going on. There's movement every day, and new features and functionality that everybody is loving so far. So the first thing is we do have a dashboard. Dashboards are kind of boring in the first place, but this is really just to get an pulse of your business, of what you've got. In this case, some of your outbox stuff, your calendar stuff, how many calls that you've made, stuff like that. It is simply numbers being crunched and showing on the screen. We've got a lot of other ones that are available soon that will dive in a little bit deeper into a few different things. But this is just a quick way to look at things. If something is overdue, you can go in there, you can figure out what it is real quick and identify the things that you need to do on any given day. So dashboards there. Most CRMs have that. It's something that you need to have, but it's not anything real exciting. On the left-hand side is our navigation menu, and this is where you get to all the different things. There is a section here for generations. Now, this is the historical part of this, SAM 1.0. This is where C.O.R.E had gone in and created the foundations of prompts and helping real estate agents create content based off of the standardized needs, a lot of the needs that they had for a real estate agent. What kinds of concept for lead generation, for processing operations stuff. I'm not going to go into that yet. I'll actually use some examples on this at the end, but I do want to go into the contacts area. So for those that are familiar with any kind of CRM, you go into contacts, you can see all your names. In this case, we've got some bogus names, phone numbers, and stuff like that. You can go in, you can scroll, you can do searches, all the things that you would normally do. Now, one thing that we did in the past, some previous applications that I helped devise, one of the things that agents wanted to be able to do is have different views, and we've made it very simple to have different views based off of ways that you like to view your stuff. If it's just phone numbers, emails, whatever, you can just quickly change between any view of what you've got. So it's very easy to change between those. So just understand that that's available. Whenever you're looking at your contacts, you can sort them, filter them. There's lots of capability for doing stuff manually on the computer. But again, the goal is to get you off the computer, right? But it's there. If you've got somebody doing data entry, they need to be able to do the basics. This will certainly let you do that. If you go into any of the contacts, let me just go into Cody's record here. It's got all the basic stuff as far as content, contact information, addresses, phone numbers, stuff like that. Being able to categorize them, set them, if we wanted to put Cody in group A, or what kind of type are they? Are they a client, an agent, team member in this case? There's just lots of things that you can pick and choose from and be able to do. Tagging, everybody uses tagging, that's in there as well. The one thing that we make available is important dates. And important dates are part of our routines area. It's kind of like the workflow that everybody wants to be able to create, the automatic processing and stuff. But what we do is allow you to key off of these different dates of things that happen. And there's lots of different dates that are available. You won't use a majority of them, but for those that need them, they're there, and you'll be able to create your own dates as well. Some of these are behavioral dates. So whenever you send out emails, if you're using a Twilio or excuse me, a SendGrid for email or Twilio for SMS, you're able to do some tracking of, did they open the message? Did they click on a message? Different things like that. And those can be triggers as well. So if somebody opens an email, you want some kind of automation to happen based off of them opening that email or clicking on a link, then that can happen. We've got that, and I'll show that to you in a moment. But all these dates are here for that purpose, and we'll get into it. The other thing that's really key here is the idea that you want to create enough information in your contact record that it's usable. And we have a section here called personal details, where you can put in all kinds of details that you've learned from phone calls and stuff like that. Some of this can be automatically added through some of the AI pieces that we've got. But as you start communicating with your person, whoever that contact is, that person, the information that you gather can go into this personal details. And it's just a big blob of information, but AI can determine how to use it in various different ways.
Yeah. So, Mark, this is one of the really cool points that I want to kind of take a second and really drive home, because the personal details section, now this is stuff that you probably have already been storing inside your CRM. But if you think back to what I had said about your current CRM, is probably just holding that information. Maybe it's behind 2 or 3 drop downs. You have to go to a side menu. And once you've actually found that information, you have to do something with it. The power in using SAM is add all of the information that you can as you're working with these clients, as you're building this relationship with them. You're going to learn a lot of really important things. You throw it in this section, and then SAM can do some really cool things. So, Mark, if you don't mind pivoting for a second, let's go and scroll all the way up to the very top. And inside the contact information, you have the ability to send one-off text messages or emails. Go ahead and click that email address this time. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to send a one-off message to, I guess it's my contact, but this could be done for any contact. And you could go in and you could type out your message. You could add your subject. It's just like any other email. Or on the left-hand side, there is a little icon. We call it the Sam Shimmers. If you have a better name, feel free and throw it in there. But click on that, and Sam is going to ask you, hey, what are you hoping to accomplish with this specific message, the objective of the message? And we pre-wrote the objective, but essentially what we want to do is we want to send a happy birthday message to this person. And we are specifically wanting this message to use some of those personal details from the personal details section to make it a little bit more custom. Now, once we have that, you can go ahead and hit submit, and Sam is going to start creating the message. Now, the key here is, historically, you might have used merge fields. Now, we do use merge fields. You see that dear contact first name, that's a merge field. And so what it would do is it'd pull in my name, Dear Cody. But usually that's where the CRM stops, and you kind of high five yourself and say, I made a personal message. That is not a personal message. That is the same message that every company that has ever gotten that person's email is going to send to them. So we want you to be able to build a world-class client experience, not just a client experience. And so this is how Sam can help you do that. So, Mark, the text is a little small for me, but talk to me. How successful was Sam at building something that we could send to this contact?
Well, I think it did fairly well. The thing is it did add an area here. Of course, it's saying, on this special day, we want to take a moment to wish you a happy birthday. That's pretty standard. But as a valued member of Workflow Secret, and he because your record is team member, that's how that generated. So it's, more personalized there. Your passion for creating videos and sharing, it starts right here, and really start pulling in information from that personal details and making it more specific to you. I mean, this is not something that you would send to everybody. It's specific to you. And that's where that world class comes in. And then it also talks about, how you like to do your coffee and the journey with your Brazilian jiu-jitsu. All these things are things that came from the data. It wasn't written exactly like this. This isn't exact merge fields, but it's content that's being created based off of the information that is in the database.
That's right. And this is, like I said, this is an excellent example. Now, does Sam knock it out of the park every time? Absolutely not. This is where our good friend Kendall Young says it's much easier to edit than it is to create. So we allowed Sam to create it. Took 4 seconds to build. Now we spend 30 seconds just reading through, make sure that it makes sense, it sounds good, and then we can send it. And then we were able to build a birthday experience specifically for this contact that is focused on them. And we're able to do that just using the power that is inside of Sam. So this is one of those really cool moments that the software really shines to help you as a real estate agent deliver a better experience.
Exactly. Now, whenever you think about the other things that's in here, it really adds a lot more to it. Not only do we have the personal details, but also their priorities. If you know that there's something that you can do for them, what are their priorities for that? In this case, as real estate agents, we want to know, what are they looking for? What are their either housing goals or whatever, and you can put all that type of information in here as far as priorities, and then that can be utilized as well as part of the information that's being used to generate any kind of content. Additionally, we've got a whole section for the calendar for things that either need to get done or should have been done. In this case, because it's demo data, we just got a lot of things in here that's bogus. But all your calendar items, anything that's current or completed, you can put in there and see very quickly. Now, with all the challenges that NAR has had, we did offer an area for you to keep track of agreements. And agreements basically is just a way to say, yes, I've got a buyer's agreement, or I've got a listing agreement with this person, some basic information about them, particularly the buyer's agreement, with the NAR lawsuit stuff. It's good to know, when did I get my agreement? What's the status of it? There's some checkbox options on here. Did you educate the person on the change? And what was the agreement signed? When does it expire? And any additional notes. Just a way to keep track of those parts and pieces that you need for tracking. It's just basic stuff. There's a whole section for social links, so you can put in all your social links, click on them, go to them. If you wanted to find some basic information about somebody before a phone call or something, you could certainly do that. Whole section on notes. You can keep all kinds of notes of things. And then there's a whole section here for connections. One of the things that I had always wanted to do and make sure was available in SAM was, you've got contacts in your database, and we store those contacts individually, right? So John Smith gets his record, but if you've got Mary Smith, she also gets a record because she has her own information, even though they share a household or, kids and stuff like that. But you can put in information about the spouse, about the kids, all that kind of stuff, and link them together. If they own a business and you've got company employees and stuff in there, you can link those. The advantage here is, in this case, Cody is my son. I'm in here as his father, and the information and stuff. If I go in here and click on Mark, then it will bring up the record for Mark and be able to do the things that I wanted to do with Mark, if there was something I wanted to do. So very quick access to even associations of people, that those connections that you've got. We have a section here for checklists, and I'll get into this a little bit deeper later, but any of our routines can have checklists. And those checklist items are typically assigned to activities on your calendar. Before, you could set up a checklist for, do I have my listing agreement? Do I have my disclosures, stuff like that for properties? You could have other types of checklists, but if that checklist is tied to a contact, we can see those checklist items inside the contact and be able to just complete them here. And I'll get into that more a little bit later. And then there's a whole section here for keeping track of files, PDFs, image files, stuff like that. So, this is just, again, basic holding of contacts. It's really not much more than what any other CRM would have. But again, it's the foundation that we need, the information that's being gathered so that we can do some bigger things with it. So hang tight on that.
Now, Mark, before we go much further, I do want to point out one more thing that Sam has the ability to do inside that contact, and that is the contact preferences. Now, we'll come back to this in just a second, but I like to say, I'm a millennial, don't call me. What that means is I don't really like to have phone calls, right? And so as you're working with someone, you might realize that they have a specific way that is going to be received best when communicating with them. So you've already heard that I don't like phone calls. That means either sending me a text message or an email is going to be the best way to reach out to me. Now, once you've identified this, we'll focus on this a little bit later, but Sam can use this information. So this is a really nice little thing that I want to point at now, and we'll come back to it in a little bit.
Absolutely. The other part to that as well is the language. So many times you've got contacts in your database that prefer other languages, okay? Spanish, Portuguese, whatever. We do have an option here so you can pick which language they prefer. And then based off of that, whenever the routines go through the process, and we'll explain it a little bit more, these two fields will be critical if needed, in order to create content based off of what's appropriate for this person. So, and if you wanted to switch between records, you can go left, right, last, first, the moving around very easily, getting access to contacts. So this is the contact database. It allows you to do the things that contact databases do. So that's number one. We want to make sure that it's there. Okay. Now, database number two, if you can say, again, bogus information, but what this is the properties area. So as real estate agents, it's important for you to know what properties you're dealing with, things that you need to know. I'm going to go into this one. I use it for a demo information a lot. In this case, what is the property name? Some people name their properties, but otherwise you can just put in the address. What is the physical information about this property? Who's the owners of that property? You can have multiple owners. All the property details, bedrooms, bathrooms, year built, that type of stuff, which rarely changes. But it's still extremely important for you to know as the agent, but also to be able to share with others if need be to do stuff, plus to create content on. But it's all kinds of information about the property, legal descriptions, all that kind of stuff we've got in here. You do have the ability to tag any of your properties. And once again, we have that section in there for the important dates. These are the important property dates, and they have different types of date fields for properties versus contacts. Likewise for listings and transactions, there's different dates, but we still have the dates area for routines. We have a calendar section, same as we did the notes. Here's Here's an example of one of those checklists. So some of the activities on the calendar probably had some checklists, and in here, this just shows you which ones had checklists and were they completed or not. You're just coming in here and either marking as not needed or completed. Choose how you want. If it's some kind of link for verification or whatever, you can click on that, take you there. Or one of the things that we have is for checklists is that you can actually change field values from your database within the system. So in this case, the year built, it's showing you, it's verifying that there is a year built in the database. Maybe, you've got somebody brand new and they don't know how to use it. You can set up a checklist where they just fill in the blanks, and based off of filling in the blanks, it fills in the database for you. Very easy. And then again, the files section as well. Now, having the properties is great because that's the stuff that rarely changes. But if you're going to list that property, we have a whole section for the listings themselves. So hopefully you work with this buyer, seller, this person, and you do their listing. At some point in the future, maybe you'll do another listing on this. You've got the buyer and now they become the seller. You can add additional listings to this. So you can very easily switch between different listings in the system. But again, these are the fields, the information about the individual listing that goes with the property. In this case, the status, the MLS number, all that type of stuff. Tags are still there. Important dates are still there. Here we do have the marketing information for like the listing description. Now you can use the shimmers, the AI shimmers, and have it pre-build all this. I just clicked on here and said, create a listing description on this, and it took all the information from the property detail and some of the things that are in there and just kind of built out a basic listing description. Same type of thing for the special features. What are things in here that are really cool, and it draws from that data. Then you can go in there and make whatever changes that you want to and revamp it as needed. So there's lots of stuff there. Showing information, any kind of instructions, lockbox, pets, stuff like that's in there. Who are the party members to this listing? This is important because whenever you start setting up those routines, you want to be able to say, hey, I need to send an email to the listing agent. Well, who's the listing agent? Well, it comes to here, it figures it out, it knows who the listing agent is, and now it knows the email, and it can send that information off as it needs. So it's tying all the different people to the listing so that it can do the automations that's needed. And we'll get into that later. We do have a section in here for the estimated proceeds. Again, this is just an estimate, but you can quickly go in there, talk to your seller, and ask them some basic information, put in some of the default information for values of things, and then come up with a ballpark proceeds based off of how much they still have outstanding on the loan and stuff like that. That's good, but it's just an estimate. You can print that off and do things with it. We also have a whole section for the listing offers. So as offers come in on this listing, we can put in some of the details about that offer, and it goes through and gives you all kinds of different fields and stuff. It can also do a very basic estimated proceeds based off of the information that's provided, who's the loan officer, stuff like that. But what's really key here is that we have an evaluation area here where you can click on evaluate. It will use AI to look at that offer. It looks at different parts and pieces of it, and then it comes back with the pros and the cons. What's good, what's bad about it. You do have the ability to add your own pros and cons as well. So the whole goal here is to give the seller information that will help them lead to a good decision. Okay. One of the things that we do is with that evaluate piece, it does score it based off of some basic information on how it should be evaluated. And that evaluation gives a score. And then that score then can be used for kind of sharing with the seller and letting them decide which one it is that they want to choose from. Now, once you've got these, you can come in here, you can check them all off. You can come up here and print comparisons, print individual details on everything, or just look at it the way it is. And then at some point, one of these will be accepted. You choose the accepted, and then that basically then will help you create the transaction. Once again, we have our calendar. Anything that has to do with the listing can show up here as activities that are either current or past, that you've completed in the past. Again, very important. Part of that is coming from the routines that we'll set up, and I'll show you how that goes in. Again, notes, checklists. On checklists, you do have the ability to highlight them in different colors. If it's really important, make sure it's filled out, that type of stuff. So you just really can't mess up. You just, you can't let things fall through the cracks because you're setting up these checklists of things that need to get done. And then once again, we've got a whole file section. So that was the listing. That deals with the seller, all the things that dealing with the seller. If you have the seller, if you have the listing and a buyer is found, then it'll create a transaction. Or if you have, you're the buyer's agent and you're just representing the buyer side, you can put in the property information. You can skip over the listing, but then you can go into the transactional side, and that will then show you all the information about the individual transaction, the status, transaction ID, the sales price, the original price, all the things that you would need to know as part of selling this property.
Now, Mark, this is really cool because a lot of systems are going to separate the properties, the listings, and the transactions. And so the fact that, you're always going to have a property if you have a listing or a transaction. You've taken this and you've placed it all in one spot. That way you can keep not only historic data, but you can keep track of everything in one spot. And you don't have to have duplicates on duplicates for every single time you engage. And hopefully you're doing a great job. You're getting those repeat listings, those repeat transactions. And so now you can manage all of this. And one of the really cool things is you can not only keep track of all of that historic data, like you were showing, if you have multiple transactions or multiple listings, but anytime the details change, maybe you're running comps or they've reached out and told you that they just did a complete reno, you can go through, you can update all of those things, and those timestamps are going to help keep track of when it was updated last in your database.
Exactly. So again, it's just data organization, making sure it's organized well so that you can come back to it. If you have multiple transactions on an individual property, or possibly you've got a transaction that fell through, you still want to keep that information for historical purposes, but you definitely want to be able to have, the next transaction. Maybe you've got a backup buyer that wants to get it. You can build the transaction for that backup buyer while still keeping the information on the original buyer that maybe fell through. So a lot of good information about those transactions. The important dates again is there. The party members is there. The calendar items are there, and all the notes, checklists, and files. So once you understand how it's organized, it's there, and it's important to know how to get that data in there. But using checklists, you can actually have it populate the information for you automatically. So that in a nutshell is where we have the properties, the listings, the transactions. We do also have a section for those people that are doing renovations and stuff called projects. Projects is another entity in that property where you can keep track of renovation projects of different types. So with the contact database and the property database, now we've got all the basic data that we need in order to do things with people and locations. Setting up the activities that need to get done with that is what's next. So we do have a whole section for the calendar. We once everything gets set up, then things will start going into the calendar, and you'll be able to see that. I'll get into that in a section. Second, some of those calendar activities might be, hey, I need to send a message. I need to send an email or an SMS. And that's where in here we can see all the different things that need to get done. So here is that little message, that happy birthday message that we just did for Cody, and it got sent out for us. So those types of things get put in here. You can review them in your outbox. If anything is due today, then it can be, it'll show up in a today section, which isn't in here. If anything's past due, then you can see what's there and either do it, reschedule it, or delete it if you want. The thing that's nice here is in the outbox is a message. That message could be either an SMS or it could be an email. Depending on what they want sent and how they want it sent, it will show it in here in the list. Now, earlier we showed you how Cody doesn't want phone calls, but he might take an email or might take SMS. If he preferred SMS, and we created this from an email, so it was understood email. But if we did this from a routine to Cody, it could use his preference on how does he prefer, and it would send it out there. So this is just a place to see all the things that's already built, either by AI or by templates. So if it's something that is built by a template or AI that you've already approved, it'll go ahead and send it. If it's something that's built by AI alone through some kind of routine, it'll put it in here as a holding area, and you have to approve it before it actually goes out. And that's really important.
And that's really key, because at the end of the day, this is a tool to help you be stronger in your real estate business building, right? You are going to have the ability to write messages quickly that are focused on the person they're going to, that are written to sound like you. But we don't want the system to just start sending things out. Imagine if you hired a brand new assistant onto your team and you just gave them the keys to the kingdom and they started sending things out. Well, they're probably going to send things wrong. And so anytime the system is going to create something for you, we need it to go through your desk first. And so at the end of the day, you are the one in charge. You are the one overseeing the operations. The system is just helping you accomplish that, because ultimately it is a tool. And at the end of the day, you are the real estate agent who's the expert in that space.
Absolutely. So calendar items can send out messages, but you can also set up so that things get sent into your call list. So anytime that you have calls to make, you can set up a call list. A lot of these are all just past due items from testing and stuff. But on any given day, it will show you the things that are due on that day. And then who's the phone number? You can select that person. You can see who you need to call. We do connect if you've got a Twilio account. You can integrate with Twilio and it will dial through the Twilio account. If you've got a Mac or whatever, you can use a mobile device connection so that the system actually dials through your computer, through your phone, if you've got an iPhone. So there's some connections there that you can do. This piece right here, just a little insight. This piece is not finished completely. We're in the middle of doing some transition on it. But the goal here is this: whenever you're scheduled for a call, you come into this area, you click on the call button. It then dials the contact and starts the process of communicating with that person. Now, if you get voicemail, it'll log that as, hey, you got voicemail. You can leave a voicemail message and do some just laying of a message on their voicemail. But if you've got them on the phone, the part that we're still implementing is it can listen in on your call and at the same time start transcribing it, grabbing information about this call, things that maybe you've talked about, whatever. It could be put into that personal details section. It could be used for identifying what their priorities are and filling out the database for you. At the same time, it can be suggesting things that you might want to talk about. And we'll have an area over here where it'll actually identify that as being information that you might want to talk about. And as you complete that, it'll do it. Once the call is done, then it'll go through a wrap up and it will check the transcription. It'll identify what are your action points, what are the things that you need to follow up on, things like that. And then any kind of follow-up appointment at the end, should I, call them on some other day afterwards. So a lot of work is still pending on this, but that's where we're headed in the call list area. In the templates area, now this is where you can create as many different templates to be able to do things with your contacts. One of the things that I'm just going to grab one here. One of the things that we alluded to earlier is that messages can be either emails or they can be SMS. In the templates area, one entry here can be used for both email or SMS. So whenever you're creating some kind of automation, you can set it up. Well, here's the email version. Here's my SMS version. If they want SMS, if that's how they primarily communicate, here's that version, and you can see it. So the automation then goes in and it kicks in and it determines who I need to send it to, what's their preference, and then send it based off of their preference. And in the event that they want it in a different language, i.e. Spanish or Portuguese that we talked about earlier, it can translate it and then put that message then into your outbox for you to approve it before it goes out. Any kind of automation, AI automation that's done on it right now, it does force you to put it into the outbox for approval before it actually sends it out.
Now, this is a really important thing to kind of zoom in on, Mark. So let's showcase building a new template for them. So up in the top right hand side, you click new template. Now from there, you can select which type of template it's going to be. For this one, let's just go contact, and it's going to pull up that message for us. Now, just like we did earlier, you can see that it's got a place to name the template so that we can quickly find it. It's got a place for our subject as well as the body. We could start typing, building. Maybe we even just copy over templates, but we can let Sam help us out. So we're going to click those shimmers again, and we're going to have Sam ask us, hey, what's the goal with this template? Now, again, we pre-wrote this one, but the message that we want to build is going to be a new lead. And let's assume that they reached out to us asking for our first-time homebuyer guide. And so now we need to send them that guide, but we might as well use the opportunity to see where they are in the buying process, as well as how we can help serve them best. And maybe we use a quick call to action or a quick pitch to meet with us. So we hit submit, and Sam is going to start generating this message for us. And like you said earlier, it's worth repeating. The reason these are called messages is because Sam is both able to make it an email or an SMS, depending on how the person would best receive it. So Sam created the email for us because that's what we're working on. But Mark, if you were to click over to that SMS tab, what Sam can then do is go, oh, hey, I don't have an SMS template for us yet. Would you like to create that? Yes, we would. Now, SMSs are really interesting because they're limited in character fields, about 160. And I don't know about you, but I have personally experienced receiving an SMS message where the message itself was clearly supposed to be an email, and yet they still sent it anyways. Not only does it not feel right to see an email in SMS format, it's just not a great experience. And so Sam can then take that entire email, truncate it down or shrink it into the proper size. And now we have an SMS as well as an email for that specific template. So this is one of the really cool things. Now, if we think back to that personal preference section that I showcased a little bit earlier, this is where Sam can start moving into the right format depending on what you actually need.
Absolutely. So you can create all kinds of templates, and the advantage of a template is the fact that if it is a template, you've kind of pre-written the content that you want in there. You can have AI create that content for you. You approve it kind of ahead of time because you've read through it and you've made it what it is and you've saved it as a template. And as long as it's not being translated, then if it's a message that needs to go out immediately, it can go out immediately without approval because basically you've already approved it. You're just going through and putting in the merge fields. But if there's any kind of objective being done on that where it augments the message in some way using AI, then it will pop in and require an approval. So this is the message area. You've got the ability to search them and track them and do all kinds of stuff with things. I mean, if you are tied in with a connection through Twilio or SendGrid, actually it's SendGrid in this case, you can then see the different statistics and stuff that goes along with that message. As people open it, click on it, stuff like that, you can see how good it is through the little statistics piece on that. So a lot of tracking pieces that will be used. Now, all of this, the calendar, the Outlook, or Outbox, the call list, and the templates are all kind of the building blocks that we need for the routines. The routines is the magic. Now that we've got all of our contacts, our properties, we've got the ability to create these different tools and stuff and view them in the calendar, we can now start organizing ourselves using what we call routines. They're modern day workflows with a twist. So one of the things that we have found is that real estate agents, whenever they start thinking through their processes, they can get bogged down very easily thinking through what all do I have to do? I've got to do all these different things. There was one workflow that I've seen from a real estate agent that was like 178 steps, individual steps. And each one of them were important and needed to be done. It was like the closing process of the entire thing, sending out emails to the different party members, checking on different things from the buyer or the seller or the lender or whatever. So there's just lots of things that happen, and making sure that you get those things done is important. But creating a huge workflow can be extremely overwhelming. And in fact, I mean, it takes a lot of time to create, but it can also take a lot of time to figure out what I need to change at times. Where do I find it? There's 176 things that I do. Just maintenance on that can be a real challenge. So what we did was very different in that all those important dates that we talked about earlier, you can set up routines that happen on those important dates. Now think of it this way. You get up in the morning and you wake up, you put your feet on the floor, and at that moment, you start going through your morning routine. You go brush your teeth, you get a cup of coffee, you get some toast, you get dressed, and then you go out the door. I mean, that's a routine for getting started. It's just the first thing that you do. And it was keyed off of putting your feet on the floor. Maybe that would be the important date is, I put my feet on the floor. I started something.
That is important.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've done is the same thing. Is we've created these routines that are based off of individual key dates. So any of those dates that were available, entry date, when did I enter that contact? When did I follow up? What is the last time a call was received? These different date fields can be set up for different things. And based off of that date, then it can do different actions. Now, let me go to this one. This one is the property photography process. So in this case, the key date, this is for a listing. The key date is for the property photography date, okay? Whenever a photography date is put in to the listing, these are the things that happen or need to happen. Now, you can set up conditions for this to happen automatically. If you set this to active, then anytime that date is filled in, it'll do it for you automatically. Okay. If you don't have it active, then you would have to run it manually. Once you put in the date, then you'd put it in manually. And we really don't want to do that, but it's possible. It's some people prefer it that way, and that's fine. But you can set it up so it's fully active and fully automated. But maybe there's times when you want to use this routine on this date based off of some important condition. In this case, the listing price is greater than 400,000. Then I want to do this one. If it's less than 400,000, I want to do something else. Okay. So you can set up your routines to do lots of different things. And in this particular case, whenever I set that date, one day before the photography date, I send out a reminder to the seller, and it's sent automatically. One day before the photography date, I also send property photography setup with the photographer. There's some information about the property and stuff that gets sent. I send a Slack message to myself as a reminder 30 minutes before the photography. And then this is the actual appointment on photography date. And then one day after, I want to check on the property, some post actions that I want to do afterwards. There may also be some things that I want to do whenever the routine kicks off, but it's not really tied to the photography date itself, just the start of the routine. And you can base it off of that as well. So some different things that you can do, but each one of these, if you go in and you actually look at what they do, they've got the basic description of how do I calculate this activity? Who does it in my team? And you can set up roles in your team so that if you've got multiple listing coordinators or whatever, it's, whoever the listing coordinator is that it will choose from your party members. There are different actions. You can have multiple actions to go do things. In this case, this one is set to send the reminder to the seller. So here is a little piece that basically send the reminder. And here we could use a template, it could be a standardized template. This is an example though of using what we call an objective. What's the objective of this action? What is it that we really want to achieve through this process? And we've got a little shimmer over here that basically will show you what kind of thing will it create. Now, this is not going to be what it creates necessarily, because every time it's non-deterministic. It will create something, but it won't be the same every time we do it. And in this case, it's basically saying, hey, dear first name, and it puts in our merge fields for you. Hope this email finds you well, and gives the details. Here's some things that you probably want to do before the photographer comes there, here's the property, here's the photo date, just a quick reminder, blah, blah, blah. And it will then create this content based off of what needs to be sent. Now, we've got an option here that says preferred or email. If they prefer SMS, it will create an SMS versus a email. If you wanted, if they didn't have a preference, then go ahead and send it out as an email. This is just a way to make sure that you get things set up the way you want. Who am I sending it to? You can have multiple recipients set up however you want. But this is just a, kind of an outline of all the different things that you want it to do for you automatically. When you want it to do it, here's where you can set up different checklists that have to be completed before the actions can be done and before the activity itself can be considered complete.
Now, Mark, this is a really cool opportunity to really flex what Sam can do, because you basically outlined, hey, this is how you build automations. The workflow automations are pretty standard to what you think. Now, we added a little twist that these are focused on those important dates. So instead of having to think about your entire process, you only have to focus on that single thing. How can I deliver a world-class client experience specifically during the photography date? And what does that look like? Boom, check that off. But just like you were saying, sometimes these are incredibly difficult, not only to think through the processes that you need to build, but to actually get into the technology. You have to build all of the steps, and then you have to take all of those steps and you have to think about what kind of content does it need to have inside of it. Now, historically, I have helped agents do this, that sometimes it takes 2 or 3 weeks just to outline all of this, and then maybe a couple more weeks to get it into the technology. And that's for a single process. This is something that we have worked to solve inside of Sam. So I want to showcase how we can allow Sam to actually build a new routine for us.
All right. So let's come up here and we're going to click on new routine. And what this does is this gives us a kind of a blank canvas here that we can do something. Now we need to give it a title. In this case, let's say a
new lead campaign.
New lead campaign. Okay. And in this case, since it's leads, we're talking about contacts. You can pick and choose, which type of routine do you want to create? And that's important because we have different dates for different database types, right? So in here, we're going to choose contact. And now we can come in here and pick from one of the dates. Now, maybe we come down here to one of the dates.
Probably
actually,
the
I think I have a new lead. I have a new lead date. Right there. Okay, so got a new lead date. And I could base this off of some additional conditions. Like I said before, you could come in here and use some and or logic, checking different field values. Did they come from a certain website? Lots of different things that you could do there and make that available. In this case, we're not going to worry about that. But we've got the necessary information that we want in order to do this. So now, what's the objective of this? Well, we definitely said that it was a new lead campaign. So I might just say, build a new lead campaign for first time, if I'd spell it right, time home buyers in the Springfield, Missouri area, highlighting
tips, tricks, and traps of the first-time home buying process. That's always a fun one to throw in there.
Tips, tricks.
It's a little callback to when you and I were initially coaching on
and
how to.
traps of the home buying process. Does that look right? Close enough.
That does. I would also include that we want to send an email for the first, let's call it 3 days. And then let's say send an SMS for a total of 6 days after. Let's see what Sam's able to do for us.
Yeah, and just as an example as well, I'm not going to do it here, but if you are Spanish speaking, Portuguese speaking, or whatever, you could say, please make all content in Spanish or in Portuguese or whatever. So here's where it all gets fun. It takes that objective, the information, and it starts evaluating it. Our AI agent goes in there and starts saying, okay, here are some things that we need to do. We need to generate some different email pieces. We need to create some different SMS pieces. Here's the basic layout. Here's when they need to be sent. Here's the calculations. There's that day 4 SMS, key reminders, another SMS encouragement, day 6. So it's going through that process. Now, not only do we need to create the activities, the parts and pieces that calculate those routines that calculate the activities, but we also said we wanted content. So the emails need to be created. So now it's going through and it's creating all the email pieces that are important to you as well. Now, the key to this is that we've also, in the setup of SAM, is we've put in some preferences on how we talk, what's our voice, what's some background information on the company, that type of stuff. And boom, it has now created what we had asked for. Total of 6 days. Here's the different 3 emails, SMS for a total of 6 is the way it was interpreted. If I go in here and take a look at the message itself, here's where it's filled in all the calculations, when it needs to be sent. Now, this is where you can refine it. It built the outline. You can now take this and do with it what you want. If you want certain things to go out at different times, set up, certain things to go out at, whatever time frames you want things to go out on. Here's the action. If I choose send the welcome email, take a look at this. It has the introductory email as a template. So I click on that just to take a look at it. And boom. So here's the information. Welcome to Workflow Secrets campaign. That I don't really care for. The way I worded it probably made it think that. We're thrilled to have you on board and excited to share valuable insights and knowledge your decision of this campaign. So some work that could be used there. Technically we could come up here and say, Sam, hey, remove the words campaign. We really want this to be whatever. You can do that as well.
And this is where, like I had said earlier, much to our friend Kendall's, credit, it is much easier to edit than refine. And in literal minutes, we were able to build a almost ready, probably 80% ready to send workflow automation. Now we just got to go in. We got to make sure the content is appropriate. It's doing what we want, but it's much easier to edit than it is to create. And how simple is it now that we have all of the things laid out for us to actually go out and start editing all these pieces, and then boom, the workflow automation is ready.
Absolutely. So here's one where we've got some buying tips. Are these the tips that you would use? Maybe not. But definitely some of the content that you create within SAM could help guide some of this content creation and make it better for you. Otherwise, it just kind of uses some generic stuff. Not only does it create the email, but it should also create the SMS that goes along with it. In this case, you can't do a whole lot with 160 characters, so that becomes a bit of a challenge. But in either case, we'll go with it. This is the power of AI. This is the power of what we can do once we have the things in place. We've got our contacts in place. We've got our properties in place. We've got things going into them that can auto start these routines. The routines get kicked off. They show up in your calendar. You start completing those activities in your calendar, or they show up on your dashboard. What are the things that need to get done today? And then I can click on the item. I can do the thing, whatever it is, and then go to the next thing. And as I complete them, then it shows what's done. Your goal every day is basically to get your due days gone. Anything that's due today, make sure it's set to 0. Anything in your outbox, anything in your call list, anything on your calendar, certainly making that available. Now, one of the things that is not in place yet, but we are working on and making it available. Everybody is talking about AI assistants and how they are so important to businesses in different ways. Well, the challenge with AI assistants is that you do need somebody to help set it up. Typically, you could definitely do it, but it takes a little bit of effort. Even no code type agents, a lot of people will go out to YouTube and look for ways that I can do no code or buy services that cost thousands of dollars to be able to use every month. Certainly can continue to do that if you want, but our goal is to start using the AI agents to be able to help you in your business. And what that would look like then is something like this. Now, this is just the base of where we're going, but basically Sam, the software here, is going to be the director of multiple different AI managers. You might have a lead nurture manager, a listing coordinator, transaction coordinator, closing coordinator. You could set up different AI agents in here. You go in, you specify what it is that they do, and technically it'll create the what do you do for you, and you can just go in there and kind of tweak it. But ultimately, its goal is to set up these different positions, these AI assistants, so that if you need information, you can go and say, hey, Google, ask Sam about my leads that I got today or yesterday. Who do I need to call today? These are the different things that you could certainly have the system do for you once you get the information in there, once you get this set up. We're trying to make it as simple as possible by setting up the things that most agents do in order to do this, but it's customizable so that you can make it do what you want it to do. This is the vision. And ultimately, once this is in place, then you no longer have to really worry too much about putting in information in the database. Now, what I want to do is just kind of show you kind of an example. Now, this is Sam Chat. This is one of many inputs that potentially you might have. Okay, so in this case, it's welcoming us in here. Who are you? I could just quickly ask a question. Hey, I'm Sam, Family Support. So, he can help. Sam can help. How to use Sam. Kind of some step-by-step types of things. But what I can also say is, what do I have on my calendar for today? And what it then does is, based off of the information in the database, it will then go and start building the list of things that's on the calendar. Okay, so demo days, that's where we're at right now, from 11 to 12:30. Hey, we're getting close. We need to be moving on. But then there's also office hours. We do have a office hours every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. And so that's in there. But I could just as easily come in here and say, set up an appointment with Mark Stepp at 4 p.m. on Friday to discuss our speaking engagements. Okay. So then at that point, it goes through the calendar mechanism. Now, just imagine you're driving down the road and you say this to your phone or whatever. Your appointment with Mark Stepp has been successfully set for 4 p.m. Discuss about speaking engagements. Let me know if there's anything else I can do. So you can start having these communication things going on all the time with different AI assistants anytime you want. That's where I was saying CRMs will no longer be used the way they're currently being used. And this is showing you how that's done.
And Mark, this is incredible to me. And this is like step one. Like, you've got to crawl before you can start sprinting in the Olympics. And so I want you guys to imagine you can now talk to your CRM. Your CRM not only understands how it can help you with the tasks inside of it, but it can also perform tasks for you. Well, if you can talk to it, you could use speech to text, and you could talk to it through speech to text. Well, that's maybe step two, but step three is where it gets really crazy. And I personally think that if we are going to completely remove the need for a CRM in the next 3 years, I think we'll have Sam to that point in less than a year to maybe 24 months at the most. And so let's take that image that you just painted for us a little bit further. You're driving in your car to a listing appointment, and you're on the phone, you're talking, but you're talking to Sam this time. Now, while you're on the phone with Sam, Sam is giving you information about the person you're going to show this house to. It's giving you information that you've stored in your personal details section. It's giving you information about conversations that you've had in the past, just to jog your memory. Who is this? How can I engage with them? Building a world-class client experience. Maybe even you say, Sam, I'm a little nervous about this. And you and Sam do a little bit of role play on the showing. That way you can just prepare yourself even more. You didn't need someone in your office to go over there and do that role play with you. Or, maybe Sam and you are working, and Sam is telling you about what is on your calendar. It's showing you all of the different messages that you need to review before it sends out. It's reading them to you. You and Sam are engaging back and forth, editing those messages, and then Sam is working to send those on your behalf. This is all being done while you're in commute, and you didn't ever have to sit down at your desk to engage with your CRM. Your CRM was there the whole time, working with you, using the context that it already has inside of it. All you had to do was show up as the real estate agent and serve your clients in that world-class way. How cool is that?
That is the dream. That is where we're headed very quickly. In fact, some of the things that are currently in place do just that. So really cool stuff. We do have, going back to what I promised, we go back to the generations before we get cut off. We do have a whole section in the generations area that helps those agents that are maybe brand new to AI. They get that glazed eye look and don't know exactly how to do things. We've created, using the core strategies that I've taught for years. Cody used it within this system in order to break out, where do the different content pieces go? If I'm going to create stuff for my conversions, my lead management, lead generation stuff, or is it something I'm building for operations, for my listings, for my transactions and stuff? The retention is for the past clients, and then the experience. How can I make these three more experiential? The things that makes them fun. But you can go in here and maybe, for the conversation or conversion piece, we come in here and say, well, I want to create maybe, some phone scripts, and for first-time home buyers or for sale by owners, I should say. And in this case, for sale by owners. I'm going to change this, the niche in there so that it'll be a little bit more appropriate. And then I hit begin. So instead of having to learn how to prompt engineer, how to create the prompts, you can click a button, put in your objective, and put in a little bit more than what I put. These are just some refinement questions that Cody put in there. Really great for coming up with the question. It also gives you the answer, or at least an answer. Make it your answer, though. Go in there, create the content that you want based off of your answers. You need to put in your answers. So all kinds of different stuff there. We hit continue. I'm just doing this really quick, not really going through each one of these, but it will then take what the objective is, what the topic is, and start going through and identifying, hey, here's some phone script stuff that you may want or need to use. And if you don't like it, you can come down here, say regenerate, and it'll go through and it'll regenerate a different version for you. So you can work through different scenarios. And maybe you have different things going different ways and doing all kinds of things.
Now, Mark, when I built this feature, it still helps a lot of our people, actually. But when I built this, the goal was to be able to create what are oftentimes called lead magnets. It's things that we put out into the world that are going to bring people to us. Now, I know that every real estate agent would always love more leads. And so that is the idea. Let's give you something that builds those lead magnets for you, that helps you with those phone scripts, that can build out these blog articles. It's just lots of different content that is written in your voice based on some writing samples that you can preload into SAM. You put these out onto the website that you have all of your free stuff, or maybe you start promoting it through social media. Maybe you send people to a Google ad and it drives them to there. And you can start collecting their details. You give them that message. Now, remember back when we were creating those samples, I was talking about that first-time homebuyer guide. Sam can build that guide for you. And then you take that guide, you host it, and then anyone who comes in, you send it out, and boom, you have a pipeline of lead generation that's coming in. Well, that's also the case for your operations. That's also the case for your past clients. This is like one of the easiest areas where most real estate agents kind of drop the ball on your past clients. I get it. There's no commission on the line, and they kind of get pushed to the wayside. But now using SAM, you can create the resources that are going to help keep building that relationship. And then something really cool happens. Your past clients, either A, they'll come work with you again, or they're going to start telling all their friends about their person, their real estate agent, the greatest that's ever existed. And now you're getting repeat and referral business coming into you. How cool is that? This has just been a really powerful tool. It's where I started, but it still works gangbusters.
Yeah. What I did just then is I went ahead and did the ultimate guide for first-time home buyers. It's a little lacking, so I came down to the expand option. I said expand the content, make it more in all the different areas. And again, this is a starting point. You're going to go in there, you're going to edit it how you really want it and stuff, but it takes that and it just builds out even more content for you, going into more details, setting up multiple pages of things that you may want. In this case, even tables of pros and cons and lots of really good information. This is unique to you. You could then take this, you can copy it, put it in Canva and make it into something, or create it as a PDF file, put it in as a that link on your website to get those leads, get their emails, their names, so that they come into the system and be able to do that. I am going to go ahead and just save that because I don't think I've got that one in there. So, you can go through, set up any kind of different type of piece there. Now, the other thing that he did create, which I thought was great, was what we call quests. And quests are different groups of things that need to get completed based off of certain topics. Getting started. If you're a brand new agent, brand new to real estate, this is a great place to come in and helping you create, who's your customer avatar? What's your brand voice? Give me create a brand brief. What are your core values, your style of writing, the history of your company? These are all things that you should create and have available. What it does, though, is it stores that information in SAM so that it can be used as part of the AI to be able to generate content. That's powerful. And it's organized, and you don't have to, reinvent it each time. It's there, and it's part of your business.
Yeah, and Mark, the thing about the quests, real estate school is incredible at teaching you the legalese of real estate, how to engage in the process of a real estate transaction and how to do it legally, right? But like you said earlier, real estate agents are entrepreneurs, and oftentimes, even if you're working under a broker, even if you're working under the best team out there, you're kind of on your own from time to time. And there is a stat from C.O.R.E in 2022 that said 90% of real estate agents leave the industry in the first 2 years. That to me is heartbreaking, because that is 90% of people who had a dream, who saw a better life for themselves, and who knew that real estate was the way that they could achieve some sort of goal in their life. And I personally think that building a business is already hard enough. There's no need to be floating out in the world wondering what you need to do. And so these quests allow you to build that business infrastructure, focusing on the things that you actually do need to understand, you need to build out. And the really cool thing about this is, as you're building these out, it's going to give Sam additional context of who you are, what your business does, and how Sam can help you. So your CRM is learning more and more about you and your business, so it can aid you even further.
Absolutely. So even business planning, there's different types of things for goal setting for 2025, your conversion goals, and there's lots of things that you can create through this. Yes, you can create it through ChatGPT, and if you're good at ChatGPT, you might be able to get it even better than what we're doing here. But this is for those people that just don't know enough about the AI, what it can do. We can step you through it. It's very nice, and it's customized to you. It's not generic. It is, and that's one of the challenges with ChatGPT, is if you don't know how to use it, it's just very generic. This can be very personalized to you. So great job on that.
Well, thank you.
That's what I wanted to cover today. There's lots and lots of other things that we can go over, and even more directions where we're headed. My mandate of building the dream system has just begun. So it does a lot. It does the things that most agents need right away, and I'm excited about where we're headed.
Yeah, Mark, I agree. I think first off, you did an excellent job showcasing the platform, showcasing usability. Let's go ahead and let's bring them back to that slideshow, and let's finish on out. So hopefully you guys today were able to just get a good understanding of what Sam can do for you and your business. You understand maybe a little bit more what a routine is and how we are able to build those AI-powered automations, those focused efforts that are going to allow you not to have to build a 170 step process into your business, but really zoom in on how can I deliver world class for this process? How about for this process? And then you can eat the elephant one bite at a time, as the saying goes. And hopefully you understand and are walking away with a, oh, that's how I'll use it moment. And we've run a little bit over, but I do want to ask, is there any last minute Q&A? I really want to open the floor to everyone. If there's any last minute Q&A, feel free and hang back. If you need to head out, thank you so much for spending some time with us during demo day. And feel free and message us if you have any questions. But let's go and open the floor. Any last minute questions?
The standard question on that we get all the time that we really need to include on this, being able to import. So yeah, whenever you are in the software in SAM, there are a couple different places that you can go in. If we go into the context area, a couple different things that are available. Number one is you can import through a CSV file, just straight CSV. We also have a smart import for single contacts. So if you've got contact information or something on a spreadsheet or on a web page or whatever, you highlight it, you block it, you can paste it in there. It will automatically import that information for you and put it into the right fields. It uses the AI to be able to identify what the information is, where should it go, and tries to streamline that process quite well. The other question was on integrations. They already have a Twilio. Can they use it? Yes. So we do integrate with Twilio, SendGrid, Google. You can set up your Gmail to be able to send out stuff. We do also have, as far as going back to that import piece, we do also have the ability to import based off of email addresses. So if you've got maybe a realtor.com site or something like that, your leads can go to that email address. Just forward it to that email address. The content in there is evaluated by AI and automatically imported into the contact. Slack integration, Dub. If you guys don't use Dub, that's another one that's really, really good. Dub is a video. You can send email and SMS video links basically very easily. Has landing pages and stuff. We do integrate with Dub. Darius over there at Dub is great to get to work with. So definitely things that you can look forward to.
Excellent. Mark, it looks like we've got one last question. They are asking about that AI agents and what the timeline was for that. Here's the thing. The intention for us is you guys are going to have access to the AI agent designer. I know that's kind of confusing. We like to call them AI assistants because you guys are agents, but we are working to pre-build some of these agents for you. And Mark, I think that just based on my guess, we'll probably have the first 4 rolled out in the next month or so. And what this will bring into SAM is the ability for you guys to have an AI assistant who is going to help your team with lead management, with operations, with transaction overview, as well as the calendar piece. Now you will have access to be able to chat with Sam as well, which is technically an AI assistant. So that's a really good question, Marty. So thank you.
Yeah, the goal there is also, which we didn't really cover, is just think you guys could be having, Monday morning huddles or daily huddles with your AI assistants. And you come in and say, hey, Larry, my lead coordinator, what leads do I have? And just start talking with that person. And then they will remind you, hey, you've got this certain thing to do or that certain thing to do. And then go to the listings. Your daily huddle is going to look different. And that daily huddle doesn't necessarily have to be in front of your computer. it can be on the phone and start talking through stuff. And then maybe, you know, hey, assistant, please text that over to me. And then it texts it over to you. So there's just lots of things that the world is changing, and how we use our CRM is changing. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah. And Cheryl, it's worth noting here, the intention is not for you to get rid of staff. We actually want to empower your staff. Think about the power that you can give. You know, maybe your marketing director has access to a marketing assistant themselves. Well, how much more can they do? And at the end of the day, SAM is a tool. We want to empower you guys as the experts. And we're not looking to, you know, take anyone's job or anything. We want to give you guys a better tool. A great example of this is, you know, Mark does a lot of our programming, and his ability to program inside of SAM is, I would say, probably tenfold, just because he has access to AI tools. So imagine what your team can do if they have access to that. So Cheryl, hopefully that helps understand. That's a pretty common fear that we see, but I just want you to rest assured that that is not the intention of what we're doing. We want to give you guys a tool that's going to help everyone be able to accomplish more. A rising tide lifts all ships at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, Mark, it looks like that was the last question. So I am so grateful for you guys spending some time with us today at Workflow Secrets Demo Day. Go ahead and take this offer. There's just, I mean, honestly, this might be the best offer we give. And we've really tried to set you guys for success with this specific offer. But Mark, do you have any final closing words?
That's it. Just take what we've shown you and dream a little bit, because I'm doing just that. I'm creating something that I've always wanted to be able to do. And frankly, the technology wasn't there. Well, now the technology's here, and what can we do? It's just mind blowing. It's fun.